Hi everyone, this is Casey, and welcome to House Lorebridge. Today, I would like to discuss a topic that has both fascinated and terrified mankind in nearly every religion and culture over the millennia: death and how to avoid it. Now, the idea of cheating death has been equally as prevalent in the universe in which A Song of Ice and Fire takes place as it has our own. We hear about the idea of cheating death from a couple of different sources in the series. First, we have the religion of R'hllor, the Lord of Light, as we see in the case of Beric Dondarrion and Lady Stoneheart. And lastly, in the north, we hear tales of people cheating death if they have the ability to warg, and as such, they're able to have a second life inside of another creature. But what are the consequences of cheating death? And do we have any idea how it works? Well, we're not given too many clues about the magic system in A Song of Ice and Fire from George R.R. Martin, but we do have a couple instances where we can maybe think we've got it figured out, and we also see some potential consequences of such actions. In the case of Beric Dondarrion, for example, we see him telling Arya that with every time he is brought back, he seems to lose some of himself. His memories of his house and the woman he was betrothed to have all faded away in the back of his mind, and they no longer have any significance to him, and he feels no emotion about this. It appears that he has lost the things that were not important to what he feels is his purpose in life at the moment of his death. Beric Dondarrion appears to be acting out of a sense of duty and honor, because that was what he was focused on when Ned Stark sent him from King's Landing with orders to stop the Mountain, Sir Gregor Clegane, from committing his atrocities, and during that mission is when Beric Dondarrion first died. It remains to be seen if Lady Stoneheart has retained any of humanity after her resurrection, or if she is just as inhuman a character as she appears to be. But if we follow the same thought process as with Beric, we can speculate that perhaps Lady Stoneheart is acting the same way as far as her motivations. She died in the midst of feelings of loss, hurt, betrayal, and anger after the Red Wedding. Another thing I wonder about Lady Stoneheart is whether or not the manner of her resurrection has any bearing on the creature that she has become. She was resurrected by Beric Dondarrion, and not Thoros of Myr, who actually refused to resurrect her because he said it had been too long since she had died. Perhaps the combination of being resurrected by someone who was not a trained priest of R'hllor, and how long she had been dead, helped to create the twisted being that Catelyn Tully has become. If this is the case, then that could be something else we need to consider when thinking about the topic of death and resurrection in A Song of Ice and Fire. And now we come to Varamir Sixskins. This chapter in A Dance with Dragons is one of my favorites in the entire series because of the wealth of information about one of our magical areas. We learned that a person with the ability to warg can, at the moment of death, go into another creature, such as a wolf, and have what is called a second life. Now, there are a couple of drawbacks. The first one is that as the human soul spends more time inside of the creature, it takes on that creature's characteristics. So, if someone is having a second life inside of a wolf, they could become more predatory and aggressive. Also, this isn't a fail-safe. This does help someone avoid death, but only for a little while. So if we think about these things, what could we maybe think of happening for Jon Snow? If we follow the theory that he will be resurrected at the Wall by Melisandre, then we have to wonder what he will come back as and what his purpose will be. It could be that he will be stripped of the social niceties of Westeros and will be acting in a little bit more of a self-serving way. Will he lay claim to Winterfell and wish to be legitimized as Stannis had once offered him? These are things that Jon has expressed a desire for in his point of view chapters, And so this all seems plausible, but it does remain to be seen. Also, we have to think about whether or not the power of the priest or priestess has an impact on whether the resurrected person comes back whole or if they come back somewhat less than human. We learned that Melisandre feels like her powers are stronger at the wall, and she feels the connection of the magic that already resides there. So I almost wonder if Melisandre is at this point more powerful than Thoros, not only because of her unwavering faith, but also because she has a sort of magic battery pack to tap into at the wall. If we follow this bit of red string, we can think that maybe someone brought back to life by Melisandre at the wall would be more intact than the other resurrected characters we have seen so far. Now, if any of this is true, I think that after Jon's resurrection, he would be the most human figure that has been brought back to life. I think that this could happen not only because Melisandre's powers are stronger, but I believe he is having his second life inside of Ghost. In her point of view chapter, one of Melisandre's visions is of Jon Snow, first as a man, then a wolf, then a man again. And also, remember, it's presumed that most, if not all, of the Stark children had the ability to warg, and we have seen it from almost all of them. Our biggest exception here, I feel like, is Sansa, who lost Lady far too early in the story to really be able to tell to what extent her abilities may have gotten to. So I think the combination of Jon not really being in another realm in death, but being inside of Ghost, can help keep his soul a bit more intact, so he may not have the problems with fleeting memories and loss of identity to quite the degree that Beric Dondarrion and Lady Stoneheart have. I also feel like what he will lose are the things that he was trained to hold important, but he doesn't really. Primarily the social niceties and decorum that Westeros demands of him. He doesn't really seem to understand why one man is seen as better than another in the land of Westeros, and I think that he will be less and less bothered by the bastard comments and what people think of him than he was when he was alive before he was betrayed by his brothers of the Night's Watch. But what do you guys think? Do you think that we have seen any real indicators of the consequences of resurrection? And what do you think Jon Snow will come back as? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.